Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chimpreneur. This is a weekly Chimpers production which takes place every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can put that right into your calendars. We'll be hosting some of the most talented, most successful, most entrepreneurial builders and leaders in the space every single week. This is how we'll learn how to attack Web3 in a more successful way. If you do not know already, my name is Bichek. I'm your host for the show. I'm the author of The Snapshot. It goes out daily on Twitter and one time per week in newsletter form. And I host The Modern Market, a daily show on crypto, NFTs, and the creator economy. And that's where you can watch this conversation live on YouTube and X right now too, if you want to. I'm joined, of course, by the epic founding team of Chimpers. We've got Sir Joey, Insight, and the art creator Timpers himself. Speaking of Timpers, he's designed a POAP for today, which you can claim at the end of the show. So stay tuned until the end to get hold of one. It includes our special guest today, and we'll get you entered into a raffle for some Chimpers NFTs at the end of season 2 in March. And just before we start now, we're delighted to shout out our sponsor for season 2, SeedWorld. SeedWorld is created by Seedify Studios. It represents a new era in the metaverse landscape. The platform will be fully centered around user-generated content, offering a unique blend of creative freedom and digital innovation. SeedWorld invites users to explore and shape a virtual world that values decentralization and personal expression. And we'll hear more about SeedWorld a little later in the show. But now to our special guest today from our special sponsors too. It gives me great pleasure to welcome them to the stage with us. Founder of Seedify and SeedWorld, our special guest today is Meta Alchemist. Welcome, Meta. How are you doing? And are you ready for some chimpreneurship?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Vcheck, and pleasure to be here, man. I'm excited for being here with you guys, and you got a great show going, a great kind of different vibe here. So just enjoying it so far, and looking forward to the questions, to this to the conversations that we're gonna make. Yeah.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'm really excited to chat to you again. We were just talking offline briefly. We spoke, God knows how long ago. You thought it was like last summer. I thought it could have been like a few weeks ago. Time in this space just is really going so quickly all the time. I remember we were speaking on the Whale show, where I believe was Whale, and I was acting as a judge of some sort, but I can't remember what we were judging you on. Do you remember what was going on at the time?
Yeah, it was like like 3 projects, I think, sharing about their projects, and then people voting, kind of like Shark Tank
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah.
Do you remember if you won or not?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we won.
Oh, you won. Well,
Yeah.
even if you didn't win, no one's going to check, so it's easy
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah.
Very cool to have you with us. We were just saying also before that we are going like live in all kinds of places. So we go live on X. For the people who don't know and might be listening for the first time, we're live on audio on X. We're also live on video on YouTube, and we're also live on video on X too. So you can basically see us all around the place. And the reason why we're trying to do that this season is we think a lot of the founders, especially when everyone's kind of rocking a PFP so much in the space, we don't really get a chance to see people as much. And we do think that there's some value in seeing people and having a conversation out kind of in the open. I definitely know I enjoy it that way. And so we're trying to give that opportunity to people if they wish to see it from that perspective. So very much looking forward to having this conversation with you, Meta. Just a little bit of admin before we get into the deep conversation on Seedify and SeedWorld. Let's do a little bit of admin. First, please do click the comment button in the right-hand corner and retweet the spaces so we can get as many people in here with all of us as possible. And second, just a reminder on the POAP, you will be able to claim one later today. You'll download the app, hit the mint button. It's poap.xyz if it's your first time. Then you'll have to click the mint button in the right-hand corner, after which you need to enter a secret word, which we will reveal at the end of the show. When you enter that secret word, you can claim the POAP, and the more you claim, the more chance you have to win the raffle of Chimpers NFTs at the end of season 2. So definitely stick around for that. Let's get into it though, Meta. We've got a good 45 minutes or so to have a good conversation about Seedify and SeedWorld. And also your personal journey, I think. So maybe it's helpful to start with like, what is your story? Um, and how did you kind of create Seedify and Seedworld?
Yeah, I mean, it starts in a kind of funny way because, like before Seedify, like I literally tried to become a, successful entrepreneur for 10 years, and
Wow.
I failed in a bunch of projects before, and
What
that
type of
was,
things?
I did mobile application related stuff, digital marketing agencies, and many other things. I even like tried to actually build a blockchain related project in 2012.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, way early on, but at the time technology was really not there. But all the rest of the things, I mean, I wouldn't call all of them failures, but like none of them was really as big as how I wanted things to become. And if I just on the way, like I wanted to learn a lot of stuff, so I grinded like 15, 16 hours a day during those many years. And I wanted to improve myself in many things, like growth hacking, marketing, content, entrepreneurship, like technology related stuff, even like very very like non-obvious stuff to people, so I could actually get an edge. And in 2017 I started to get really interested in blockchain gaming, and I started to read a lot, and then what I was doing was like learning a lot from the YouTube videos, like GDC videos, for example. Like I was like, putting a lot of effort into that, because at the time there wasn't anything about Web3 gaming either online. So like I had to basically, get that information myself by understanding gaming, and how you can create great loops, great gameplay, how you can actually make interesting economies that make people enjoy the games. And I was always a gamer. I
Okay.
loved a lot of MMO games, especially like I played Ultima Online, one of the first MMOs, and then played World of Warcraft, played every single MMO and survival game that I could get my hand on. So um, I mean, throughout the years, then in 2021, there was this opportunity where, I realized, funding is going to be on, decentralized ways too. Like it's not going to be only for VCs or people who have the money, and it's going to get more decentralized by like launch pads and incubators and, all these stuff. So I basically started Seedify myself as a solo founder, and I had no team at the time, like literally zero person. I wrote the white paper myself,
Wow.
created the website, created token, did the marketing and all those stuff. But we started as an airdrop with S Fund, and in 2 to 3 weeks, we had like more than 100K people in our Telegram. A lot of people looking to get the airdrop. And after that, I started to bring the first team members from our community members who were like trying to help other people in the community, because I just couldn't answer everyone at the time. And then Seedify started like that, and a couple months later, like we became literally like the highest ROI launchpad in the
Wow.
whole industry, when there was like
That's
50 competitors literally. So
that's
I mean,
amazing. That's
yeah,
so crazy. Like the speed with which you kind of once you did find the right thing, it sounds like the speed with which it all kind of started to snowball and started to progress was really, really fast. I want to get into all of that Seedify stuff into that in a little bit. I want to start with a little bit of the history stuff because I think it's really interesting that you said, you know, sometimes people say overnight successes take years and years and years, right? So you said you failed like on various occasions, like trying to figure out what you wanted to do. You mentioned trying to start a blockchain project in 2012. Do you think it's possible even now to like, when you look back at that idea, do you think it was that it's possible to be too early to an idea? And how did you know back then that you should keep changing? Because now obviously you found something that's good and you're going to stick with it. But how did you know when to give up when you were failing and when you should keep trying?
Yeah, at the time, there wasn't even smart contract network, so there wasn't any Ethereum, and what we were trying to create was like a social fi kind of thing on blockchain, and the technology was just not there. Plus, at the time I was in Turkey, and I wasn't like a successful founder with millions of dollars or something like that. So the team that I could create was kind of nimble. Like it was like about 18 people at the time. So there is no one who understands the technology, and there is no smart contract network. There's not many users on blockchain, so it was a way too early idea. But maybe in there are some people, like for example projects like Ripple and some other projects that could actually stay afloat since back then. But it was a very, very rare case because there wasn't users in this ecosystem. The technology was hard to use and many other things. But I did also other things where I could actually grow much bigger.
Okay.
But it was just maybe it wasn't my thing, or I wasn't basically ready enough for those kind of things. Because like at Seedify, the things happened because I was very ready with blockchain gaming, and I
Interesting.
was ready with marketing, uh, handling many teams before Seedify, knowing how to market a project, and
Mm.
many other things. And one thing is, in 2021, blockchain gaming started to get hot for the first time, and Seedify was like the one of the only launch pads where even before the bull run started in 2021, we were like, okay, we are pivoting to blockchain gaming completely, and we're gonna be launching on the blockchain games. And at the time, to people it sounded crazy, but I knew that blockchain gaming was gonna get like super hot. And like I was very, very ready for that, because when there wasn't even any kind of content, I
Mm.
was still researching about it and putting all these ideas and everything in my mind.
Amazing. How did you know then, like when you were doing all of those things at the beginning,
Mhm.
how did you know, like, this isn't working? And actually, you mentioned later on when it got to Seedify, you'd built up all that experience, and maybe that was part of why you were now just a more experienced person and good. Do you think any of those previous ideas would have actually worked if you had more experience? Were you just like a young, inexperienced person? What's your reflection now when you look back?
Some of them could have worked. Sometimes I created wrong teams. Sometimes
Interesting.
I worked on a bad idea. Sometimes I wasn't that passionate about that idea. Like, I mean, it could have happened way earlier too. Sometimes you don't have to have too much knowledge about everything in order to be successful too. Like, you can just do the right thing at the right time, and you may have enough skills. Like, you don't have to be crazy about it, but you can have enough skills and still be successful at the right timing, with the right people, with the right product. But you know I mean, everything that is a failure is not a failure if you're actually keeping on going and learning to just grow and evolve in the meantime. Then like you will like for sure come to a point where something that you're gonna be doing is gonna make sense. I think it's about not giving up, and in the meantime improving yourself constantly, and being ready for the next thing ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I can just see Pix, one of the prominent presidents of the Utes, is in
Yeah.
the YouTube comments, just expressing his appreciation for you. I actually read one of his threads in preparation for this, where it kind of outlined this story that you've just started to say of how you've kind of been, gone through a lot of difficulty to get to where you are now. In those darkest moments back
Mhm.
at the beginning when you're trying lots of different ideas, like what was it that enabled you, do you think, to keep going, keep pivoting? Like what was it that really motivated you back then to try to find the solution or try to find the thing that worked?
Sometimes it's the negative feelings too. It's not
Interesting.
always the positive feelings.
Sure.
When you're in a down moment, like you're like, you can either stay there, or you can be like, okay, I want to actually be better. And that that actually negative feeling can actually push you to do good things too. I mean, I always wanted to be like, okay, I want to, do big things, and then do great things for others around me. That was like my feeling. But at the same time, when you're actually failure, like, you don't think about that part so much. You're like, how can I get myself up first? And when you look around, if you're like feeling like a failure, then you can either stay there, or you can be like, okay, I have to find a methodology or anything to not be in this position anymore. I think that's why darkness sometimes also is a great momentum bringer if you don't let it let you down.
Do you know what? I love that, because I think so many people, you know how people talk sometimes about like toxic positivity, and
Yeah,
people always thinking that the inspiration comes from some noble idea, some like brilliant, you know, positive thing that you're trying to build for the world. It's like, yes, of course, sometimes people want those things, but I'm also a big believer in like, well, no, you've got to run away from the bad thing as well. Like, I used to be a teacher in a secondary school before I was a lawyer, before I did this. And one
mhm,
of the things, like when you're trying to incentivize people, like, yes, you want to give them a prize that they're running towards, you know, when you're teaching children, but you also have to have something that they are fearful of, like something that they're trying to get away from. Like, no, I don't want to do bad. I also want to do good for the prize, but I also want to get away from the bad thing. So I think
exactly.
that's quite an honest way to look at it, because I think sometimes people are always presenting the positive spin, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the reality. Reality is duality. Like, if you think about it, like, world is created in such a way that everything has duality. Why is that? It's like,
Yeah,
sometimes that negativity is not negativity, but like the seeing the other side is sometimes necessary to understand where you want to be, and all the rest of the things that
for
is
sure.
the positive spectrum.
Very, very interesting. One of the other things you mentioned before we get into Seedify and Seed World and that whole chapter of your business life, you
Mhm.
mentioned sometimes putting together teams which you maybe were not happy with, and also the fact that you started this completely by yourself. It sounds like you were by yourself like quite a lot. Were you always someone that was like very insular, or like very, I want to do this by myself, or I want to make it by myself? Do you think that's something which people need in order to be successful and driven?
No, I mean, like, of course, like, you have to like, self improvement, and growing yourself, that is a personal thing. But besides that, you need always people like, to be successful. See the fight, like, of course, I started it alone myself, but after that, I needed a lot of amazing people around me to make it really, really successful. Like, the first 1 month, 1.5 months, that could be only me. But like, the reason why Seedify is here right now with like a lot of great things that happened in the past, it's because of those team members, and like, who I can call family right now too. So, like, it's definitely not just me, but it's finding those people and knowing how to actually spot those people too. It's like, it's kind of like, like, I sometimes hired people with negative energy in the past, not in Seedify, but I'm talking about my, like, previous journeys. I hired people who didn't want to actually do work for even an hour, or who always wanted to give excuses, or who weren't passionate about what they're doing. So I saw a lot of, like, bad things in the past, and also, like, there were a lot of good people too. So I started to learn about who are effective people, who are not.
Mm,
Of course, you can still sometimes not completely get it, but most of the time I can feel, oh, this person has a good heart, this person has passion, this person can actually excel at what they're doing. And these kind of things, I think it's very, very important, as well as just having people who are not going to change, who are going to be staying humble, and making sure that the success doesn't get them. Because another part is, sometimes you get into a journey, and success can get to people, and that
sure.
is a very, very dangerous thing. Like, you can lose a lot of stuff if you actually get into a bad energy that you think like you're irreplaceable. Like even as a founder, or a project that is too big, like everything is replaceable in the world. Like you have to do your job very, very well, and
Yeah.
but I owe a lot to my team members too. Like I couldn't build all this thing myself. It was just the start of the journey.
Amazing. Yeah, really, really interesting reflection. So going back then to the beginning of Seedify,
Mhm.
Alec, what did it take to get it off the ground? You said you started it initially yourself, but
Yeah.
who then became involved? Did you raise funds? How much did you feel you needed to prove before people would invest? Like, what was the actual history and financial mechanics there to kind of kick the business off?
Yeah, we started with an airdrop, and I had not much money at the time. Like when I sent the airdrop tokens to 30,000 people, and then put
30,000.
put the liquidity to the Pancake Swap. After that, I didn't have too much left, and
Okay.
for the marketing of Seedify, I maybe spent like 5K at max, and a website and all the rest of the things I did it myself anyway. So I did it with like less than 50K at the time, like the start.
Wow. Okay.
And
So there's something that happened here. This is where something special happened, right? I remember reading it in Pix's
yeah,
thread. Something special had happened in this moment. You obviously took that risk. You invested a lot of money. You didn't have much left over. And then like something clicked where you managed to, maybe from your growth marketing background, you managed to light the fire and all these people came. Like what was the thing that lit the fire there?
yeah. I actually emailed a lot of content creators at the time, and
Interesting.
I made a huge list from YouTube, and then started to email everyone. There's this
Amazing.
project, Seedify, like check it out. And there was only two people who responded me at the time. One of them was Journey Crypto,
Okay.
and
Mm.
he made the first video about Seedify. Seedify got its first ignition, and all of a sudden from like 0.7, we went up to $7 in like 2-3 days after his video. And then Elon Musk started to talk shit about the market, like not the market but Bitcoin and the energy stuff, and then the market went back down in like a couple of days after we saw the $7. And I'm like, after that it was like Seedify was at like 0.27 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm constantly like meditating, like trying to find an answer. I'm like, this ship has basically is moving. Like I cannot, even though I airdropped to all these people and I didn't actually ask any money from anyone, like people has invested money in this, and I have to make sure that like they're not gonna get burned from this. Like what can I do? But I was having very, very bad feelings in our first dump after that. And
Mm.
it was like a mini bear in 2021 at the time, like
Oh
due
yeah,
to
of course.
Elon Musk fought basically. So at that time I was like, okay, I'm meditating, like, and I love those that part of life too, like spiritual stuff and like other deep stuff that is connected to it. But
Amazing.
one day I was like, why don't you do just blockchain gaming? Like there's all this competition, like you're not going to be able to survive. They have more money than you, they are funded, you don't even have right now anything much. So how are you going to be able to do it? Like you have to actually focus. So I was like, I love this blockchain gaming, and it wasn't even hot yet. And like one article that I wrote, I was like, we're entering basically blockchain gaming completely as Seedify. We're not going to be doing any other project. At the time, people were like, okay, this guy's probably crazy. And we changed our tier system and stuff like that. Couple days later, it was like we announced this, and then Alex Becker, he actually wrote in the comments, and he was like, I want to like actually work with you guys. Like I'm entering Web3 gaming myself too. Like I'm gonna be completely focused on that. And then
Interesting.
we announced Journey and Alex Becker next week as advisors of Seedify. And then like the rest was like just a lot of crazy stuff that happened. And Seedify saw like 44x average ROI in 2021, way above all the other launch pads in the
Wow.
space.
That's amazing. One of the key learnings there, I think, that I'm hearing And I'd be interested for you to speak more about, especially for all the people in the audience, because I can see a lot of content creators. I'm a content creator myself in some respect. And, a lot of this space moves forward via content creation. It sounds like one of the key ignitions for your project was Journey agreeing to work with you and giving you that initial exposure, then landing another huge creator. What are your thoughts on content creation, both for how it kicked off your own project, but also just in general now? I know you work with lots of content creators in the space, and maybe you prioritize that very highly because of your experience. What are your thoughts on the whole content creation aspect of the space?
Yeah, like how I see it is, like content creators has a lot of influence. Like that's why you call them influencer too,
Mm,
or a key opinion leader. So they can influence people, but at the same time, like it's important to basically like be very selective of who you're working with at
mm,
that, and also creating mechanisms where you can actually create win-wins, because one side of it is working with very trustable people, and the other side is creating a win-win so both of the sides can win. If like one of the like think of it like a scale. If that scale is not in the right way, and you actually created the wrong system, or you're not getting value and one side is getting value, then it doesn't work too. So it's not like everyone is basically everyone can reach the content creators in the space nowadays, but you have to have a product that actually is trustable too. That's another thing, that like that's not the only content creator side. You have to be trustable yourself, and you have to work with trustable people, and then create win-wins, and then you can really do a lot more than just like trying to be alone, or trying to be like just do paid marketing by paying to YouTube or stuff like that. But at the same time, there is also this other aspect where like you have to create relationships where it can go beyond that a business relationship. And with some of
interesting.
the people that like I work with, like for example with Alex and Journey, I mean we've been like talking with each other since like 3 years, and like a couple of days ago, for example, like a couple of weeks ago, sorry, I actually joined a Journey Club as an advisor, because like I normally don't take advisorship, by the way. I never taken any money myself personally on these kind of things. Like whatever we do it for the Seedify community over there with the advisory and incubation part. But over there I joined, and I'm not taking anything, because like I want to actually pay it forward. Or with Alex, like like we want to do a lot of collaborations with Neo Tokyo Launchpad, and I want to support as much as I can, because he supported me so much. And sometimes like you can actually build these relationships that can go beyond that initial phase. And I think that's the beauty of it too. Like you don't have to always see it as like a paid relationship or something like that. I think that's another big part of the thing. Like you got to create a family, a network with content creators, and there are people just like you. Like it's not like there's humans and then there's content creators. Like you know.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think one of the interesting things to pull out from there, I mean, I definitely agree on the relationships thing. Like, it's too difficult as a creator, but I suspect also from the business side to
Mhm.
go from business deal to business deal to business deal. Like, okay, I'm going to work with you for 1 month. I'm going to work for you for 1 month. I'm going to work with you for 1 month. Like, it's not sustainable when you have to actually do the work and creation. If
Yeah,
you have to do the business development at the same time, all the time, because you're always looking for new clients.
yeah,
Like I've been through the process. I much prefer having long-term relationships. I don't mind taking a little bit less in order to have longevity and build proper relationships and proper working relationships that I can trust for a longer period of time. And it's also a bit more stable. You get to know
yeah,
each other. It's also just more enjoyable. So I definitely empathize with what you're saying there. I think what would be helpful for the people listening in, because I can see a lot of creators in the audience, is like, how do you create that win-win? You said like, we've got to try to create a win-win for the business, also for the creator, and it doesn't necessarily need to be about money. How do you create that uh, good relationship?
I mean, it can be like, of course, like every business relationship, and every relationship, like when you're actually in something like Web3, it can involve those kind of parts too. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be only about that part, because then you have something that is not, how can I say, something that's going to end as soon as basically the market conditions change and other conditions change. I think creating great relationships, and as a founder, sometimes that's hard. Not gonna lie, like I usually normally, like for the last, for example, 6-7 months, like with the people that we work with, we like I was like friends with them, with everyone, and more than that, it's like a family atmosphere in certain places that we actually created. For example, we have a group in somewhere. It's not like a cabal, but a lot of us are there, and we chat pretty much every day. And so, but in the last couple of weeks, for example, I couldn't do that as much because I'm. Like Seedify and Seed Road takes a toll, and I want to do it a lot more. But when like if I can, like whenever I don't do that, for example, I feel bad about it, because I know this is not the way. Like it's like the things that you actually create in Web3, it cannot be only about a relationship that involves just the monetary aspect of things.
Yeah, I think that's really, really wise thoughts that people that is definitely worth reflecting on, because as I said, it's definitely way too difficult to go from one deal to the next. And if you're too focused on the financial aspect, you can always think, well, oh, I can earn more. Like, I can earn more with someone else, so I'll just keep jumping. But what you realize very quickly is that you burn out. You can burn out entirely. So you mentioned that more recently. Let's get into Seedify and Seed World. Maybe some of the differences between the two, if you want to explain for people who are completely new to you, like what that difference is. But you said you've been ramping up recently. You can't be in the Cabal chat as much at the moment. What's the ramp up happening at the moment with you guys?
Yeah, so we are trying to scale like really strongly, Bishek. So like the problem is right now, like while we basically are incubating a lot of projects, and also Seed World is needs to grow at a rapid speed. There is this need of scaling all the time, and with scaling, like we cannot be just doing exactly the same things that we are doing. Like the marketing strategies need to change,
Sure.
evolve. The VC strategies need to change and evolve. Like we have to streamline a lot of things, whereas like before we were, tackling, for example, a couple of projects. Right now, we have to actually like create value for a lot more projects at the same time, and sometimes also. Like certain parts in the team, like you start to see, okay, this site can be a lot better. Like here we are providing not enough value, how can we actually optimize it? Because in this market, it's kind of like we are, in terms of market cap, like Seedify is the leader right now in the whole space, in the whole launchpad space, and we did that by providing a lot of value. And I don't want to ever find Seedify providing less value. So whenever we are basically increasing like the amount of projects that we are having, then I have to actually make sure that the team grows in scale, and like we can hire new people, we can train new people, we can create new systems, and also fix whatever is not working, fix whatever needs to get better. There's always also new changing things in the market too. Like one time you're like free mint and then token airdrop, the next thing there's a different thing. So you have to actually change the strategies. You have to actually, there's competition, of course, in the market, so you have to actually be like providing a service that is better than the competition. And of course, like you still work with the competition
Sure.
most of the time in launchpads. Like we do a lot of collaborations and stuff like that, but like your community also, like in Seedify, if we are doing something less than any other like name out there, then everyone starts to basically get very, very upset. And I see my community feedback all the time. I look at the channels, and that actually gives me a lot of fire sometimes too. Like I'm like, okay, I gotta do this better, I gotta do this better. Okay, let's actually do a bunch of meets, but at the same time execute much more. That's kind of the thing in Seedify, and that never changed actually. In 3 years, we had always like moments where things didn't look good, and then it started to look amazing, and then there was another change in the market that we needed to adapt. And we always managed to do this. Like it's been 3 years right now. We even went through a market where Web3 gaming had no hype or any kind
Yeah.
of
No
positive
interest. Yeah.
so even on those times, like we could actually last year create the highest ROI launchpad in the space, even when changing our ourselves from like gaming to other things. But in a nutshell, like that's all the process in Seedify. Like it's a continuous thing, but sometimes it's just a lot more. And Seed World basically it's scaling a lot again. There's a lot of new members coming in, and I kind of realize that whenever I'm like with the team and I'm like pushing with them, I feel like that gives the team a lot of good energy, and everyone pushes everything more. And I tend to see the problems sometimes faster than others in certain fields. In certain fields I cannot, but in certain things I can be like, okay, let's optimize this, let's do this better, or let me actually motivate this person by being of help. And that way you can actually increase the momentum as a founder. So I try to do that a lot nowadays too.
That's amazing. The key commonality between those two things, I think, is that you keep mentioning scaling.
Yeah.
Like you've got to scale. What are some of the like biggest challenges of scalings for you as a leader, and how do you try to address it?
The biggest challenge is I don't have time. That's the biggest problem. Like every day, I'm like, okay, I want to DM a few people at least. I want to, respond a few more Telegram messages or Twitter messages. I want to actually send one more tweet today or comment on some people. I think, I just find myself, for example, right now, like I'm not bitching about it, but it's 2 a.m. and I've been working since I woke up this morning. So
Damn.
it's not 2 a.m., but it's 1:45, but whatever.
Almost close
So,
enough.
and yeah, like I didn't have much break, maybe like half an hour in between, but can't complain. I love this. Like there's no problem. But with scaling, it's you have less time. You definitely have less time. But I love this. There's no problem, man. But I don't see anything as a roadblock, or I can complain about anything. I'm doing what I love, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things people say, right? Like when you do find the thing that you enjoy most, it
Mhm.
doesn't really matter to you as much when you have to put the time in. And it
Yeah.
certainly beats, I mean, for me, coming from a corporate background, I used to work crazy hours before. And the thing
Mhm.
is, people think, oh, you work for yourself now. That must be so great. It's like, don't get it confused. Like
Eh,
I'm working all the time.
yeah,
But
it's
as you say, it feels different, right?
yeah, it's like when people leave 9 to 5, they're actually leaving that for working 24 hours a day most of the time, like. But it's more enjoyable sometimes, but at the same time, like it doesn't have to be 9 to 5. If you find great team members that you can work with, and like, not everyone needs to be a founder, not everyone needs to be an entrepreneur.
Sure.
It's not like if you find your like people that you vibe with, and you're creating amazing stuff, and you're really happy with that, I mean, there's no problem with that too. Not everyone needs to do this. And it's hard, man. Like it has a lot of stresses. It has a lot of crazy points. It's a roller coaster. And but yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. You mentioned like some of the metrics, like the highest return fund, the highest market cap, I think, as well, from all the launch pads. How important is it to you running this type of business in the space that you're running it, to like hit those numbers? And if those are some of your key performance indicators, do you like, what are your other key performance indicators from a business perspective, and how do they rank compared to that one?
I think in the launchpad space, ROI is a very, very important thing. But you can do the ROI in such a way that if Seedify does most of their launches with like 50K, 100K, for example, raises, and then we can do crazy ROIs. Like we can shoot those into crazy numbers, but then our community is not going to make enough, and
Sure.
projects are not going to get enough raises. So it's kind of like finding the optimum where the projects can win in terms of how much they raise through Seedify, as well as our community can win in terms of how much they get allocation, so they can actually make money from those, and also how much we can actually contribute to people, and what people actually mention about us, like did we actually provide them value or not. And whenever that actually starts to like listen, or like we are basically doing a lot at the same time, then again time for scaling comes, because you have to actually keep the quality or even increase the quality of the service that you can provide. Because in then, like the real like thing that I look at is like market cap and everything is good, but that is actually a reflection of how much you actually provided the value for the ecosystem. Because we didn't come to this market with a big huge VC funding us, and all of a sudden like Binance basically like putting us in their launchpad or something like that. Like we really grinded with our fingernails,
Yeah.
and that only comes from like providing value. You cannot do otherwise. Of course, like it comes from doing marketing, doing collaborations, doing other things too, but if it doesn't end up as providing a value, then it's pointless. So I care about that the most. Like the ROI and everything is very important, but when I basically do my thing like with our team, are we really adding value to our community, the projects, the ecosystem? And then that will sooner or later like reflect into better things.
That's amazing. Especially to do it, as you say, without the assistance of some of the bigger names. Because sometimes when you have a bigger name, it just automatically gives you a bit of credibility, and then you can like build from there. So to build it up completely by yourself, I think is very, very impressive. One of
It's
the
not
things,
it's not by ourselves again.
sure,
Like
sure.
there's a lot of people who help Seedify, but it wasn't like this Midas touch that the big VC gave, and then, we entered Binance Launchpad and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. One more question on that. You kind of mentioned finding the right balance between the teams needing to raise versus the community being able to make some money. Like, how did you determine like what was the right balance there for is that a tokenomics question? Is it how to design the funding model? How did you even learn how to do that? Because I think that's really important right now, because we see all of these NFT projects raising across the board, right? Especially with very close um token drops coming like just after. So I think it's on people's mind like how to try to calculate, this raise taking place and then this token coming. Like, what are your thoughts on all of that happening at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, if you basically do a high FTV, then it's bad for the project most of the time, because um, I mean, you cannot, like, the people are not gonna see too many X's with the high FTV. But at the same time, if it's a high FTV, but like these huge tier one VCs are entering, and you have a really sensible product that could actually go even 20-30x from there, then even sometimes like 50 million to 100 million FTV may sound nice to some people too. But usually at Seedify, the methodology that we're trying to do is, the FTV should be reasonable for the product that they're creating, but at the same time, it shouldn't be in such a way that like people don't see a positive momentum that will, like, people has to see a positive momentum that will come from that tokenomics side. And that needs to be for everyone. It has to be for VCs, that has to be for the community, that has to be for the team itself, and it has to be for us too. So in a sense, like you have to actually balance it out in such a way that everyone can win at the same time. And I think best tokenomics have that. Like it's not one side. It's not only VCs winning. It's not only public race community winning. It's not only the team winning. Like if you can combine everything in such a way that like it really makes sense with that tokenomics for everyone, then I think it has more potential to do something better. You know.
Yeah, for sure. That's you mentioned a lot of different stakeholders there that
Yeah.
all kind of need to get aligned. They've all got their own interests, but trying to figure out a way to bring them all together sounds very, very important. I'm conscious of time, Mata. We've only got 8 minutes left for the show. The time's gone very, very fast, but I want to give you a chance to kind of speak to the things that you're most excited about for Seed World and Seedify in the kind of next 3 to 6 to 12 months. We obviously, it feels like we're in a bull run now. I think people have kind of accepted that almost certainly. Like, what can people expect? What are you most excited about for this more, exciting period?
Well, at Seed World side, I'm excited to reveal much more, like the world building side, the races, the months that we've been creating, the production that's been going behind the scenes. Like because we didn't show too much. Like if we look at Seed World's Twitter right now, there's not much that we have shown yet because we for a time being we wanted things to come to a level that we can be like, okay, from here we can start to actually showcase what we're really doing, and we are coming to that stage step by step, check. So and what I'm really most excited about is making sure that Seed World can one day become a platform where we can have millions of users. Like that's my actually goal. Like I don't want this to be a project where we actually do a mint and then NFT prices go this that like that. Like I can care less about all those stuff. If millions of people are gonna be on Seed World, then everything is gonna skyrocket anyways. I have no doubt about it. So we're trying to build something that in the end it's gonna just go crazy. Of course, I want to also in the meantime provide a lot of value to all our asset holders, so then they can be like, okay, these guys just kept being great at this, and that's what we did at Seedify too. Like we airdrop as fund, and then people like got unexpected gains, both from Seedify's own token and a lot of launches that we did. And I want to repeat the same thing, but like most importantly, like building an amazing product that can actually reach to millions of people concurrently. I'm not talking about like one-time play to airdrop events where we get 1 million people and then we lose that, but something concrete that's gonna really make a huge difference in both Web3 and Web2, like not just Web3, both Web3 and Web2. And I think we are creating something like that, that I'm proud of, and we will start to show more. But in Seedify side, I'm excited about helping a lot more projects. I'm excited about seeing my community win. Like that's the happiest moments that I get. Like the community is happy, the project is happy, everyone is like cheering, and they're like just like euphoric. I love those moments, and like the bull is coming back, and that's beautiful for launchpad and incubators, because in the bear market we get a lot of shit from a lot of people, like the whatever is happening in the market, it's not your fault, but you
Yeah,
still get
exactly.
like great results, and it's very, very hard times for launchpads. But these moments, I think we still got to work hard. It cannot be like, oh, it's bull market, you just launch anything, it's gonna moon. But it's better markets, and I'm excited about just helping more projects and seeing my community win at the same time.
That's so fun because I mean, I've spoken to a lot of founders in this interview series, and they
Mhm.
all say the same thing. Like that bear market was like really tough. Like the Web3 is not an easy space at any time, right?
Yeah,
Like even being a founder, as you say, you're up at 2 in the morning doing this, you're working all the time anyway. But like the bear market was exceptionally tough. So I understand the feeling where like you feel like there's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel and other people are just having a bit of a better time. Like they
yeah,
seem to be enjoying themselves more, which then makes you enjoy yourself more as well. So I can definitely see that. Um,
yeah.
Final couple of questions before we close out. Meta, like if you had to advise someone now who's like interested in the Web3 gaming space, um, what would you say to them? Like they want to get involved in some way. What would be a smart way to go about entering this space? Maybe even from a content creator perspective, given that you value that so much, what would your advice be to them?
I would say streaming. If I would do something, I would definitely do video content or streaming, because there's so many people, and of course, like you can still do like tweet posts and stuff like that connected to that too. But
Sure.
if you look at regular gaming, how many gaming content creators are
True.
there who are only sharing Twitter posts? So you need to be basically more visual with your content, and that's what I would recommend to people. Like, of course, like use Twitter posts and stuff like that, share the alpha and everything, but and that attracts a lot of people in the Web3. But then convert that into visual content, and I think that's going to be much more scalable. And a lot of people are going to be watching right now Web3 games too. They're going to call it games, not Web3 games, very very soon. So times are changing, and you just need to be one of the first ones who actually provide value in an entertaining way to people.
Very, very, very important point. I've made this point a lot as well. Like even as a creator who is not into I don't do gaming as such,
Mhm.
but there's even so many creators in the crypto sphere who refuse to do video, right? Refuse to do
Yeah,
image. And I guess that's everyone's prerogative. But as you say, because there's so few, it just gives you a huge differentiating factor
exactly.
if you are willing to put yourself out there.
And especially like a couple months later, like that's gonna actually grow a lot more, because right now there isn't so many gamers in the ecosystem. People are like more interested in speculation more.
Mm.
But when there's gonna be more gamers coming, they're not like you want to kind of do both. Like you can actually like feed both sides, and why not do both, but also like be one of the best in a blue ocean. A blue ocean meaning there's not too much competition yet over there. So you can be rising faster.
Exactly. We're about to get the POAP into people's hands now. You've listened this whole time. Remember, this is for entering the raffle. If you collect all of these, you'll get put into a raffle for some Chimpers NFTs at the end of season 2. So we're going to get to there in a second. Couple of things to do that before that. Meta, just for people to know, where can they keep up to date on all things Seed World, Seedify, and what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, they can always join the Twitter channels of Seed World and Seedify. I think that's one of the best, and they can be joining our Discord or Telegram. Those are other things. Seedify and Seed World. Like if they search it on Twitter or Telegram, they will be able to find it easily, or Discord. Besides that, like I have my own like Twitter, which is Meta. What do you call that? I don't know, the underscore.
Underscore.
Yeah, underscore Alchemist. They can follow me too. I'm not as active on Twitter as I wanted to be. Like I grinded hard in the last couple months from summer, but right now there is a lot of work. But I'm gonna be back with more activity soon. Like I try to share at least once every 2 days. But I'm stoked to be more active again pretty soon, hopefully.
Completely understandable at this moment in the market. Right, so definitely follow those accounts. I'll remind you again in just a second. We want to get those POAPs into your hands in just a moment. They're designed by Timpers himself. It includes our special guest Meta as well. Meta, you got to check out
All
the
right.
POAP is pinned to the top of the space, and you can access it in just a moment. But before we get that POAP to you, we just want to shout out one more time our sponsor for season 2, Seedify, the big player in the gaming world. They're not just another name in the game. They're leading the pack with the highest market cap in the gaming launchpad scene. They're cooking up something huge with Seed World, a virtual universe set to shake up the Web3 user-generated content space. Right now, they've got 2 killer NFT collections, Mounts and Vanguards. Only 3,110 and 6,000 of these gems exist. Picture a million users jumping into Seed World, all wanting their slice of the pie, and only a handful of these unique NFTs are up for grabs. So if you're up for staying ahead of the game, now's the time to get involved, because when Seedify and Seed World dominate, you'll want to say you were there from the start, holding one of these exclusive NFTs. So definitely go and check those out. Back to today's POAP claim. You need to go to poap.xyz, spelled poap.xyz, And the secret word today is seed, SEED. The claim goes live at 1 p.m. EST every day. So that is live now. Remember, it is SEED, all lowercase. So you can claim your POAP of our special guest, Meta Alchemist. If you have any issues, you can jump into the Chimpers Discord and raise a ticket. Remember, you can use that to claim as part of the raffle or to be entered into a raffle for some Chimpers NFTs. And hopefully you will win one. A big thank you again to our Chimpers founders for making this possible, our sponsor Seedwell for supporting the vision, and a very special thank you to our special guest, Meta Alchemist. And thank you to everyone in the audience for joining us. We're delighted to be able to bring you Chimpreneurship every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, every week until March for season 2. And keep collecting your POAPs to be entered into the raffle for some Chimpers NFTs. Have a wonderful day. Take care. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.